The entire state is currently under a tropical storm warning and a flash flood watch.
50 million people up for flood watches and warnings. The other thing we have to watch out for now, tornadoes. 4 million under tornado watches.
Now to the latest on that path of destruction from deadly tropical storm Isaias, leaving more than 3 million people without power this morning. New Jersey alone with more than 1 million outages.
Tracking Isaias, the tropical storm may be on the way out, but the damage left behind will be felt for days to come. The massive power outages, the aftermath, and the cleanup now underway.
Ross, in her commanded answer, she joins us now live from Basking Ridge in Somerset County with more. Lisa.
Well, Dana, the mayor here tells me more than half of the residents have not had power since Tuesday. And this is the same story in several towns across the state. We are seeing roads that are blocked by downed trees and no utility crews in sight.
Hey everyone, this is Cory Strathman with Grace in Your Corner. And today I'm going to bring you an entry that's a little bit different. I want to talk to you about the experience that I've been documenting over social media of our family the last few days in Tropical Storm Isaias here in New Jersey. I also want to talk and focus on the piece of being positive, but being positive doesn't mean that I'm peppy 100% of the time, that things were always going fantastic and that the mood was there. I want to talk to you about the normal reactions and the okay feelings to get through situations like that. So we'll start by talking the night before on August 3rd, which is Monday evening. Lauren and I were discussing exactly what the storm might look like, what we could do in advance, but neither of us having been in a situation like this before, we really didn't know. That being said, I took more of a, well, we've done what we can. It's out of our hands now. There's nothing we can control. Where Lauren continued to be progressive and proactive. We're cleaning up a few areas. Looking back, it probably did seem like maybe I was downplaying the situation. And now looking back with 20/20 vision, I definitely come across that way because we lost electricity for over 4 days. Fast forward to the following day, Monday, we were just tracking it in the morning. You could see it slowly coming. We knew that there's going to be some high wind gusts, some rain, and it was about 11 o'clock in the morning where it started to rain. 11:30, lights flicker, lights go out. I took some video of our screen and porch. I think it was around noon.
Hard to tell. Tropical storm coming through. Power's out. Downpour rain. Winds aren't as bad yet as they're supposed to be.
Just 20 to 30 minutes later, the wind really was getting strong. But again, to my comparison of a tornado, in a tornado, we're down in our basement, huddled. Whereas to this tropical storm, it's just straight wind with gusts occasionally. So I'm just on the main floor. And as I walk to go open the door, because I just want to see exactly what it is and maybe get another video, I hear a huge crash. And that's when I open the door and I see a massive walnut tree, probably 50 foot or higher, that had fell down, crashed onto our fence, roots up by our garage. And then I started to think, okay, this is a big time storm. What else is going to happen? We started looking at insurance policies. And as we were doing that, Brody runs up and says, there's water in the basement. This brings us to another level of anxiety. We go down there, and it was just the beginning stages, thankfully, because downstairs we finished the basement. We have tile. I made it into a sports den. I've got actually 3 TVs up there, Brody's Xbox. I've got surround sound, and we have our Peloton, which we love. We got everything out that we could. We got our couch out. The only thing that really had damage was there was an old shelf in our closet, and then we had a large throw rug that was ruined. So at this point, we have no idea what's going to happen. There's trees all over New Jersey, but you can hear trees start to creak and crack.
Just to give you some perspective, this is what New Jersey's like. They have mostly above ground power lines, and they just go right through trees. This is our front yard. But when a big storm comes, you can see why branches and trees become a huge issue for power.
Now we're not sure what's going to happen. We get onto our power company website, and they give you an estimated restoration time of when your power will be back on, and that's at 11:30 at night. So we're looking at 8 to 10 hours of being out of power. Not sure what we're going to do. Lauren and I start scooping up water to bring it up and dump it out to see if we can get it out. And all we have is 2 buckets that we brought to the beach and a big ball bucket. And we're just scooping up buckets and filling it in, scooping up and filling it in. Another issue we run into is the drain in our basement actually doesn't go out at basement level. It gets shot back up and goes out the side of the house. So it needs electricity for the sink drain to go out of the house. So that means we get to carry everything up by hand up the stairs. We do quite a bit that night, but we're just shot. We don't know if there's still water coming in. We call it good. We're hoping that the electricity will be on the next day. I've contacted insurance at this point. I've contacted a company called Serve Pro to have them come out the next day and assess the damage, but we're just going to go to bed and regroup. That was probably the worst night's sleep I had because of so many things and so many frustrations. That's really where I was playing the why me card. Why is it us? Why is this happening to us? And the frustration is built up, and I was probably very irritable. I know I was very irritable. But that night's sleep was very restless. The next day we woke up, the power was still out. However, I had that opportunity, that moment in talking with Lauren to just stop and understand the damage that had happened around us and understand that we weren't so bad off. And things are starting to feel a little bit better, but the frustration is still coming and going and coming, but we're surviving. We've done everything we can. The water's out. I've torn down the fence that was broken. But what's happening is we don't know when our power is going to come back on. It's hot in our house. It's not extremely hot outside, but it's hot in our house because it's been raining a lot still. We have to keep our door shut and it becomes very muggy. The frustration that really came from all of us is we're communicating with family, being reassuring, just keeping them up to date on exactly what was going on. I was reading on my phone. We were powering our things in Lauren's car. We had car chargers, so going to our car, charging it up, still having the internet on our phone. I was reading a lot of things online. Lauren continued to work. She is getting ready with her company to launch a stock market here, hopefully in September. So it's very crucial time for her work too. So she's charging her computer. She's trying to respond. She's jumping on phone calls, working to the best capacity that she could at these times. And all along, we're following the power company of what they're trying to do and the restoration the process. And really, we've talked about probably the biggest piece of our entire frustration is they continue to just change and switch things of our time and drag us along slowly but surely. So we had hope that it was going to happen. They'd have one time, they wouldn't meet that deadline, then they change it. And then they change it. And this went over for over 100 hours. We lost power for 4 days. On the 8th, they said, okay, now we're talking August 8th. On August 8th, they talked about, we'll have your electricity done at 6 p.m. Well, 4 p.m. came, and too many times we'd seen the deadline. So we went ahead and booked a hotel 4 minutes from our house so we could leave our dog and come back and let him out. And we get to our hotel, another update comes. They're not going to be done until 11 p.m. So we're feeling great. Of course, who knows? Could be another couple days. We're not sure. We might be there for a while. An hour later, I go out, I get us food, I swing by the house to get our dog, take him out for a walk, and lo and behold, electricity comes on. So the electricity came on within 2 hours, 2.5 hours of us going to the hotel. That was just the smallest piece of getting our electricity back on. Now figuring out everything of getting our basement completely redone, getting the fence redone and the charges and working through insurance. But those are minute things in the big picture. So that's what I want to talk to you about. And my mom sent me this quote, and I think it's so fitting because I had mentioned on social media that I am positive, trying to come across positive on there and keeping an upbeat attitude, but that wasn't reality. Full transparency was there were times where I snapped to simple questions that one of our kids or Lauren's that I shouldn't have snapped. There's times where I asked my kids or I asked Lauren, to help me with things, and they were more frustrated than they normally would have been. And it was just a roller coaster of emotions for everybody. The irritability would come and go. The grief, really the grief stages, on a smaller scale would show here and there. But I wanted to tell you this story was positivity. And the quote is, which I'm going to put right here, staying positive doesn't mean you have to be happy all the time. It means that even on hard days, you know that there are better days coming. So really it leans into that hope and to that faith. And we're trying to stay positive, knowing that things are going to get better, but it's still difficult. And it's okay to have those emotions. It's okay to be upset with the situation. And that's what we continue to talk to our kids about. Lauren and I talked about, and we tried to bring each other back down when our tempers begin to rise, when our frustration begin to build, because we had to be there for each other. But at the same time, the person that was on the receiving end of maybe a little harsher tone, we had to understand and love with grace that this situation sucks, that this was an unfortunate event, and that this is not who they are, but they're dealing with the situations, and this is the best way that they know how to voice themselves now. We'll love them, understand them, and help them understand that we can get through this together. Some people deal with it in different ways. For me, it's connection. And I want you to understand, I did what was working best for me. It just happened to come that I had one of my psychiatrist checkups was on one of the days the power was out. So I had the opportunity to talk to my psychiatrist. For me, I deal with trying to connect through people. So either sending a text message to someone, I dealt with it on social media. And I know everyone has a different perspective on social media. Some people think that it's the worst thing ever. Some people love it. Some people say these people are just looking for attention. These people are this or that. Well, here's the deal. If it's something that helps you, don't worry what other people do. To me, connecting with others through sharing my story on social media was a sense of healing. It was a way for me to help handle the situation. Because when I shared my story and I let people understand and know, the responses, it could be as simple as a like or this or that. It just brought a little spark of joy to know that someone was thinking of me. Call it selfish, call it what you want. But what I see is it was a way to help heal me through a situation. And that's the way you have to look at things, is you have to do what's best for you and try to block out what other people think. Have a plan in place and know what you can do and know how you can survive through certain circumstances. So understand that even when things are bad, do not feel embarrassed about harboring emotions that could be negative. Do not feel embarrassed that you're invincible and you're not hip, hip, hooray cheerleader all the time. And you're not that prototypical type that someone sees, wow, I want to watch them, I want to be them. Everyone experiences these things. Some people hide it, some people don't. Everyone copes differently. I know what happens when I bottle my emotions up. It becomes a worse impact. So being positive doesn't mean you're happy all the time. It means you keep that hope, you keep that faith that God's plan is there, that you have the opportunity to see the greater good, to see the path, even during times of suck. And I hope that all of you feel comfortable enough with yourself and your circle of friends, your circle of family, that you can rely on it in the same way. And in the long run, we know that the financial part of this is unfortunate, that we have to pay the deductible, that we lost food, that we did all of this. But we also know there's opportunities and things that we could point at and give thanks to. And the uniqueness of every morning we're getting Dunkin' Donuts for the kids that we didn't have power, and we had our coffee and they had donuts, and we had that short moment together as a family during breakfast. We never have that. That was a special moment that we can take away from this. The smiles and the laughter and the sarcasm that came from those conversations when we have our recliner out in the screen and porch and our kids are playing golf, and Lauren and I are looking at each other like, where are we going? What are we doing? Those are moments and those are conversations in my head that will never go away. So taking the positives from life, taking the smallest things and making them what you hang your hat on and not the burdens that they bring. But at the end of the day, there's no group of people I would rather spend my days with without electricity, over 100 hours, 4 full days, than my 2 loving boys that make me smile, my dog, and of course my loving wife, we balanced each other out very well. So I hope all of you have the opportunity to try to pick out those positives in life and understand, even if you feel a certain way, that doesn't make you a bad person, that doesn't make you a negative person, that you just need to keep the perspective, keep the long picture in mind. Have a great evening, and God bless.